righty, so joining us once again is the legendary baseball writer Peter Golenbock. Peter, thanks for joining us once again.
It's my pleasure, Andy. Just happy to be here.
Right around the corner, we got the 2022 All-Star Game. You have some predictions for us. I can't wait to hear. So let's get right into it. Who are the odds-on favorites to make the 2022 roster?
Well, I can tell you about the American League. My rotisserie team, the Vex, which is in 10th place out of 12. I have two stars. They're both Yankees. One is Aaron Judge, who in fact about 20 minutes ago just hit another home run for the Yankees. So he's the number one guy. I would say if you take it base by base, I'd say Vlad Guerrero of Toronto is probably your first baseman.
Okay.
The other choices, I've written them down here. Anthony Rizzo of the Yankees would be one choice. Jared Walsh of Los Angeles Angels. He's done very well. And a guy named Seth Brown, who plays for Oakland. Because he plays for Oakland, nobody's ever heard of him, but he's doing quite well. At second base, it seems to me you've got three choices. One of them is Trevor Story, who is playing for Boston, and Ty France, a Seattle second baseman, and Luis Arias, who's leading the league. He's hitting about 360, so he's got to be considered. Also remember too, that each team has to have one member on the All-Star team.
Right.
Now, in the case of the Tampa Bay Rays, my guess is that will probably be a pitcher. None of the Rays really qualify in any of the position spots. So, you know, the way the thing turns out very much is you get chosen because you're the only guy on the team that anybody wants. So don't forget that that's always a possibility. You got a bunch of shortstops, a bunch of very good shortstops, starting with Xander Bogaerts of Boston. He's hitting about 330 right now. Tim Anderson of Chicago, he's hitting 350. And understand too, in the league this day, if you're hitting 350, that's like hitting 400 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I think on the Tampa Bay Rays, we've got 4 starters hitting under 200. You know, right now, the Rays are beating Milwaukee 2-1 in the 6th inning. And I'm cheering because they have 2 runs. It's very frustrating. You see games where your pitcher strikes out, 12 batters and their pitcher strikes out 14 batters. That's a lot of, at bats where not very much happens, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So you get a little bit of that too.
And for folks that don't know, you live down in Tampa Bay, so that's kind of your hometown team. So you always got the thumb on the pulse when it comes to the American League East.
You're right. Well, I moved to St. Petersburg, Florida in 1989.
Okay.
Something called the Senior Professional Baseball League. I was affiliated with the St. Petersburg Pelicans, who, won the championship that year. And I fell in love with the city. It felt to me when, I showed up, it was October 31st, and it was 75 degrees, and the sun was setting, and the palm trees were swaying. And I'm from Connecticut. And I'm thinking to myself, this is paradise. Why wouldn't I want to live here?
And a lot of baseball to go around as well.
Well, in 1989, we didn't have baseball. We had a minor league team. We had the St. Louis Cardinals minor league team. So we watched that. But it's just such a beautiful place to live. Yeah. And so that you feel, though, even though you're working, you always feel like you're on vacation.
Yeah.
So, but don't tell anybody. Don't tell.
Keep.
I'm sure the Omaha weather in December is just fine.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
And you know what, Peter, I like it because it gives me a perspective. I get to enjoy all the seasons. I'm not just boxed
We
into
do.
two
We
or
do
three of
get to
them.
enjoy every season. That's right. Yes,
So
I know. We have to suffer because we basically have spring and summer, and that's about it.
there you go. You miss out on all on the fun of the other two there. So
Yeah, exactly. So we're talking about shortstops. I had mentioned Bogarts and Anderson. There's also this fabulous player for Seattle named Corey Seager,
mhm.
Eugenio Suarez, and Gleyber Torres, who is a very fine player for the Yankees. Third base, I think Rafael Devers probably has it sewn up. He's hitting 330. Though the other choice may well be Jose Ramirez of Chicago. He's hitting over 300. He's got a bunch of home runs and RBIs. And as the catcher, to me, there's only one, and that would be Salvatore Perez, who is
Yeah.
the best of a mostly non-hitting bunch of catchers. Judge is the top outfielder. Second, I would imagine, would be Mike Trout, who is in the running for MVP year after year after year. Unfortunately, unfortunately for him, he plays for the Los Angeles Angels. So nobody really cares what he's doing, except the people living in Los Angeles. There's JD Martinez of Boston, who's hitting 330 something or other. And my favorite Texan, Adolis Garcia. He's on my rotisserie team, and he gives me joy every day, hitting a home run or driving in runs or doing something wonderful. There's Kyle Tucker out of Houston. Then, of course, the famed Giancarlo Stanton, who's another Yankee. He's got 14 home runs and 40-something RBIs. You've got to pick a Baltimore Oriole. And I think the one Baltimore Oriole you probably would pick would be Ryan Mountcastle, the outfielder.
Okay.
He's got 60 RBIs, which is pretty terrific for anybody, never mind an Oriole ball player. And for pitchers, and we don't pick the pitchers, the managers pick the pitchers. But there are right now, I think, 3 pitchers who have 8 wins. Justin Verlander would be at the top of that pack. Alex Manoah of Toronto is up there with them. And a surprise Yankee pitcher, Jameson Taillon of New York, who's got 8 wins. And he's one of those reasons why the Yankees have, 50 wins.
Yeah. Yeah. No surprise. There's a few Yankees up and down your projected roster there.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, somebody's doing something.
Yep.
So, Rizzo is doing a fabulous job.
If we had to slim it down, you named a whole slew of middle infielders there. Who would you give the slight edge to at second base and shortstop? If I'm looking to, lay down a bet here, a future type of bet, if I can find a book.
Oh, well, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, Story's got 45 RBIs and Ty France has 44 RBIs. They each have 10 home runs. Who would you pick? I mean, it's very difficult. Maybe you pick them both.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was wondering. Can you kind of hedge your bets and bet on a couple of players that are making that roster?
Yeah, and the Minnesota second baseman, Arias, he's hitting 360. So you're going to leave him off? I have no idea. I don't know. Who do you pick at shortstop? That is just tough. That is just tough. You got a guy hitting 357, Anderson. I imagine I would pick him.
Yeah.
Hard not to pick Bogarts. I mean, he's your veteran. He's the guy who holds the Red Sox infield together. Hard not to pick him.
Well, and that's what we brought you on for, is to answer those hard questions.
Yeah, well.
And I got to tell you, went out and picked up my own copy here.
Oh, look at that.
That was helped me out. And you named a couple of my players too on my league. So that That brought some joy
That,
to our
book,
interview as well.
that book existed prior to the internet.
It's a good one. It's a
For
good
years
one.
I kept saying, oh, the internet, it's no big deal, no big deal at all, until it ruined some aspects of my publishing life.
Yeah, yeah.
I had 5 or 6 years of how to win at rotisserie baseball, and then the internet came along where you could just push a button and find out exactly what you were going to find out in my book, and that was the end of that series of books.
Happens a little faster now, for sure.
Yeah, yes, it
So,
does.
do you have any opinions? You kind of touched on it there as far as the current All-Star voting system. You mentioned how only managers get a say in pitchers. We just are getting to the end of kind of a fan type of voting system, and then that'll get parlayed into writers and other pundits.
Yeah.
Where do you sit with all the All-Star voting system?
I mean, I'm happy whatever they do. I don't really care. I like the idea that the winner of the All-Star game was the home team for the World Series.
Yeah.
I believe they've done away with that. I'm not sure why they did, but
Yeah.
I like that. I mean, it made the All-Star game mean something.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure once you do away with that, whether the All-Star game in fact means anything.
Yeah.
Except
That's an
it's a wonderful,
interesting.
a great opportunity to watch these people play, of course.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I was gonna say that I enjoyed it, and I always come under fire for saying that I enjoyed that game meant something as far as the American League or the National League was going to host that game 1 of the World Series and then game 7.
Right.
And that's the blowback you hear on the NBA All-Star game and especially the NFL Pro Bowl being kind of a sham, and why even put on pads? Well, you put something on the line like you had with MLB,
Right.
it did turn it into a real game. That manager, was one of the front runners to be coaching in the World Series again. So he wanted to win that game.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why I don't know why they don't do all sorts of things.
Yeah, definitely an opportunity there. So if I get you to bring out your crystal ball one more time, I took a quick look at some futures from the American League to win the league. And of course, the Yankees are way out in front at plus 175. Houston's right behind them at plus 250. And then rounding out your top 3 is Toronto at plus 450.
I don't know what any of those numbers mean. We now have Bally Sports. Bally Sports now has taken over from Fox in putting on the baseball games, and they put these numbers up on the screen, plus something or other and minus something or other. I don't have the slightest idea what any of that means. Is that good that you're minus or good that you're, I don't know. Can you explain that to me? What does this all mean?
Well, yeah, when you're plus money, so like you're betting let's say $100, and if you get it right at plus 175, you win 175. So it's not a straight up bet. You're on the other side. And if it's minus 175, then the odds are way out of your favorite. Now you're actually betting $100 to win $75. So if you can get in on what's that?
Every one of those numbers has to do with $100 bet. Is that the idea?
That's the easiest way to break it down, is by a $10 bet or a $100 bet. Yes. So when you see that plus 175, you're thinking, okay, I can win my wager and get my 100 back plus 75 on top. It's better than a straight up type of bet. So as a gambler, I love that plus money. And here you are getting the Yankees at plus 175. So they're way out in front. I'm thinking, can they keep it? It's still so early in the season. Take all those numbers away from it. What's your perspective? Do you think the Yankees are going to run away with this, or do you think Houston is going to make a pretty good run at down the stretch?
Well, it always depends on injuries. You know, if the Yankees can remain healthy, those Nestor and Cortez and Talon and Cole, and they got another guy, that little lefty. He's a big lefty. That's 4 starters who are stars.
Yeah,
that's kind of hard to beat. And they've got a kid who's their closer. What's his name? He closed another one last night. He saved his 13th game. This is after Chapman got hurt. They put him in. He's given up 1 run since April 8th.
Yeah.
One run. I watched this guy pitch. He was absolutely unbelievable.
And I
So
feel that's something that always gives the Yankees such a great advantage over other teams is their depth moving forward. So I probably like the Yankees. What do you think of the Toronto Blue Jays? Let's say no more injuries, everything stays the same. What do you think of the guys from Toronto?
Well, the hitters are tremendous.
Yeah.
But I don't know what pitchers are going to come around to take them to the World Series. I'm not seeing it.
Okay. All right.
To get there, really, you just need, at the minimum 2 spectacular starters.
Yeah.
And then you get other guys to fill in and maybe win a game somehow. But with those 2 fabulous starters, you can win. I don't see that Toronto has that. Houston has that.
Yeah.
Houston,
so is that what, Kyle, you're kind of leaning right now? It's a 2-horse race between the Yankees and the Houston Astros.
What I'm really hoping is that Tampa Bay can beat out Boston for that 3rd spot in the American League East. And then all of our phenomenal injured pitchers come back. We've got, we must have 7 pitchers who are injured right now and 3 or 4 hitters who are injured right now. I mean, I don't know how they ever win a game, if you want to know the truth.
Yeah.
They look like a AAA ball club out there. It's amazing. Rosarina somehow managed to get some hits. He stopped hitting home runs. We got this guy Paredes, who we got in a trade for Austin Meadows, who we never heard of and we thought was terrible until last week. Hit 3 home runs in 1 game.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, where did this come from? And then the next day he hit another one, and 2 days later he hit another one. And we're saying to ourselves, well, now I understand why they traded Austin Meadows for Itzhak Paredes. This guy's pretty damn good. And so, it's G-Man Choi. I mean, none of these people are all-stars, not any of them. But if they could somehow rustle up 3 or 4 runs, our pitchers who lead the league in ERA right now can win games. And if 2 or 3 more of our pitchers get healthy, we've got this guy Anderson is a spectacular reliever. He's just great, but he's hurt.
Yeah.
But he's coming back.
He's staying healthy is going to be the name of the game going down the stretch.
Being healthy. So the Rays went to the World Series 2 years ago. It's not impossible that they could do it again if everybody comes back healthy.
You're exactly right.
If they don't come back healthy, I'm thinking that Houston and the Yankees would have the best shot at it.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. So, Peter, you just came out with the critically acclaimed book, Whispers of the Gods. What's next for Mr. Peter Golenbock?
It's critically acclaimed.
Yes, sir.
There it is. Whispers of the Gods. Yes, you can get it at Amazon, or if there are any local bookstores left in the state of Nebraska, you can get one there too. I interviewed over the years Ted Williams and Stan Musial, Jim Bouton, a wonderful assortment, Roy Campanella of players. If you love the history of baseball, it's something I think you really get a kick out of. What's coming up? Well, 4th of July is coming up.
There we go.
I'm looking forward to a wonderful summer. I don't have anything in the works that I can really talk about right now. I'm helping several people write their autobiographies.
Okay.
I don't think any of those books are ever going to see, a publishing company, but these are friends of mine, and I'm helping them, get published.
All right, keeping us on the edge of our seat here. So, well, Peter, thank you so much for joining us once again on the program. Love your stories, your insight, and can't wait to have you back on. Maybe do a little recap of that All-Star weekend.
I'd be happy to do it. You give me a call.
Peter, thank you for your time.
My pleasure. You take care.